Hello, people of YouTube. This is Financially Ruined. I am your host, Steve Gray. Today we are talking about cars. That is right, the automobile, if you will. If you're broke, you still probably need a car, especially if you live in the US, unless you're in a major city and there's public transportation. There's a good chance you need a vehicle to get to and from work, pick up your kids, grocery shop, and do whatever. You live somewhere and everything is 20 minutes away because that is the majority of America. Unfortunately, it is what it is. The reason for that is the good old automobile companies. That's right. They decided to buy up all the trolley tracks way back in the day, and they then ripped them up and destroyed them, so you were then forced to buy a car. So we had the public transportation. Those a-holes bought it up and destroyed it, and here we are. You need a vehicle. And, typically if you want a better paying job, my hometown, where I live, or just the town I live in general, I should say, there's really nothing that would pay a decent wage in it. I'm going to be honest with you. Like a lot of towns in America, you got fast food, you got retail. Those are the two staples in the town that I live in, and it's about a 10-minute drive to get to those places. Yeah, there's some mom and pops, but you're talking minimum wage jobs. So you have to go drive 30 minutes to a more major city in order to get a better salary. And that involves a car, so you need a car. So the max I would say that you need to spend if you're broke, if you can afford up to it, is $10,000. You can get a pretty decent used vehicle for $10,000. The thing is, though, we are not going to dealerships of any kind. Used car dealerships, private dealerships, your buddy's friend's dealerships, a brand new car dealership. Nope, we're doing Craigslist. We are doing Facebook Marketplace. Your best bet, too, is probably if you have someone that is mechanically inclined and knows a little bit about vehicles, bring them with you to check out the vehicle that you are interested in. That is going to probably save you a lot of money because you don't always know what you're getting. The reason we're doing private versus an actual public type of thing or an actual business is because you can get a car for significantly less expensive. If you go to even a used car place, they have to make money. So let's say you bring in a $10,000 car into a used car dealership. They're only going to give you $7,000 for it, but maybe you sell it privately. You might be able to get that full $10,000, or you might be able to get $8,000 or $9,000, a couple $1,000s more. So that is one of the reasons people sell private. I personally bought a vehicle private, and it needed some body work. Honda CR-V. Needed a little bit of body work when I bought it, and it's good and running, had very low miles, and I had the money at the time, so I bought it outright. Now, you don't necessarily have to spend $10,000 on the car. The main brands you're going to want to look for when purchasing a vehicle are Toyota, Honda, certain year Hyundais. You got to be careful with the Hyundais because a lot of them have transmission problems. Certain year Subarus and certain year Mazdas. Your best two, though, that I recommend tried and true over everything is going to be your Honda and your Toyota. Those are the best two car companies, in my opinion. They last the longest. I had a Toyota Camry. My mom had it, and then it was passed down to me. When I sold it, it had 350,000 miles on it. So these are cars that statistically will go 200,000 miles plus. That is why we're focusing on those. A Camry, a Corolla, those two are very good. A Civic or an Accord, also, those are probably going to be the four main vehicles that you're looking at. Now, yes, you can go all-wheel drive, which there's really nothing wrong with an all-wheel drive vehicle. Your RAV4, your Honda CR-V, your HR-V, and there's probably some other thing that I'm missing in there as well. But the issue with the all-wheel drive is the more things you have happening on the guitar, the car, not the guitar, sorry, guitar's on the mind, the more things that you have, working and systems in the car, the more things that can theoretically break, and the more money you are going to have to pay for maintenance. Which is why, if you can get away with it, do not get an all-wheel drive vehicle, because then you got that added expense. An all-wheel drive vehicle, unfortunately, you have to change all four tires at the same time. If you have a front-wheel drive vehicle, you can typically get away with changing 2 tires at a time, which, that saves you money in the long run. You're not buying 4 tires in one shot. So there you go. In terms of mileage, try to keep it around 100,000 miles, because this, you're paying a good chunk of change for a car, or whatever you can for a car, and you want to be able to get the mileage, the max out of the car that you can, with spending the least amount of money that you can. So that's why, if it's around 100,000 miles, these cars are all known to get to 200,000 miles. The car is only half dead. You got 100,000 miles to go, and if you're lucky and somebody was just driving that highway, then the car basically has half that on it. So highway miles are not the same as city miles, because you're just going at a consistent speed. If the car is stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, like in a major city, like if you're buying a car and it has 100,000 miles on it, and that car's entire life was spent in New York City, you probably don't want to buy that car, because it was constantly in stop and go traffic, and a lot more wear is going to be on that vehicle, as opposed to somebody like me who takes it on a highway every day to work. Well, a route. It's not technically a highway, but takes it on a route to work every day, and I'm going about 55 miles an hour, and I'm only going 30 miles an hour for a couple of minutes until I get onto that route. So that's something to keep in mind as well. You don't need all-wheel drive in the winter. Even in the states where you have a bunch of snow, it is nice to have, but you don't technically need it. What you don't want to cheap out on ever is tires. Tires, brakes, rotors, the things that make the car stop. If it needs those things, either tell the person that you're purchasing the car from, you'll give them the full price, but they need to fix this stuff first, or try to get them to reduce the price. You're better able to negotiate as well in a private sale, typically, versus a public sale. So that's something to factor in as well. Snow tires, you get some cheap black steel police rims, nothing fancy. You put snow tires on them, and you can change them yourself every year. Yes, it sucks. You have to jack up the car and swap the tires. Make sure you get them balanced too. Getting tires balanced is very important, and an alignment on your vehicle every once in a while is a good idea as well, because less wear on your tires. The less wear you have on your tires, the less money you are spending on tires. Most tires, decent tires, doesn't have to be name brand. Like Firestone, you can get an off-brand. That's perfectly fine. You just look at the rating. Most of them are rated around 50,000 miles, and that's typically what you're going to get. Might get a little bit under that, might get a little bit over that. Depends on how you drive. You also want to make sure, check your air pressure, maybe at least once a month, just to make sure everything's good to go. A lot of cars have air pressure sensors now that be like, hey, one of your tires is a couple PSI low, and then you just go to one of those gas stations that has free air. Or if you have like a bicycle pump or something, that's perfectly fine too. However you're going to do it. It's not going to be a fancy vehicle. I'll be honest with you. You're broke, you're poor, you don't have a lot of money. It is not going to be a fancy vehicle, but it's going to get you to point A and point B, and get you where you need to go. And then maybe you can save up enough money for something nicer in the future. Who knows? You don't want a car payment, whether it's new or used. You don't want a lease. You don't want another payment. You want to pay for the whole thing in cash and be done with it, and then you're done. Maintenance wise, you want to mainly just do tire changes, brakes, rotors. Those are all common maintenance things. Oil changes, that's the biggest one, is to make sure your engine stays running. If you buy a used car, the first thing I would do is change the oil. Look at the oil too. That's something. Definitely look at the oil, look at the brakes, look at the rotors. Test drive the vehicle. If the owner wants to be in it while you test drive it, that's perfectly fine. Show them you have a valid license or something, and then you're good to go. Some states have inspections, some don't. So, emission standards, you don't want any lights on. If there is a check engine light on, yet again, if you can get a mechanic friend that has a code reader and figure, okay, that just this one sensor needs to be fixed. A lot of the times it's some sort of sensor to something that is a couple $100 to fix, and yeah, it sucks, but you try to work it off the price of the car or something, or have them fix it prior. That always works too. The engine that you want. Let's talk about the engine. You don't want anything with turbochargers. No turbochargers, no superchargers, no whatever extra add-on nonsense, because yet again, we want simplistic, good, decent gas mileage. The cars I've mentioned previously, the Honda Civic, the Honda Accord, Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, Honda HR-V, Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, all of these things typically have a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine. What that means is it's only got 4 cylinders. It's a small little engine, but it'll do highway speed, and that's all you need. We're not buying a Lamborghini here. We are buying a basic, simple vehicle that'll get you from point A to point B. get you to work and back, so on and so forth. And also, they're going to get about 30 miles a gallon. Most of these get 30 miles a gallon. Now, hybrids, do not touch them. If you have enough money to buy a brand new hybrid and you know all the maintenance and all the records and what you did to the vehicle, or it's only a couple of years old, sure. The older the hybrid gets, the more worry you have on the batteries. Replacing the batteries are extremely expensive in hybrid vehicles, and you don't want to buy a vehicle for $3,000 and then have to pay $5,000 to replace the battery in it. So I wouldn't bother with the Toyota Prius, unfortunately. Sorry, and I don't think Honda. Do they have hybrids? I know Honda has some hybrids, but just stay away from hybrids in general. You don't want to deal with them. Chevy, Ford. They don't really make anything that stays the test of time. I hate to say it. Most American companies do not. My first car was a Chevy, and the motors run forever. Don't get me wrong, but everything else will rust out, and you'll be driving a chassis with a rotted frame and a motor on it. Unless it's like stupidly cheap and it's a decent condition. I say that because I'm in a state that has snow, which means it has salt, and it rots your car. So if that's not the case, you can go ahead and buy a Chevy Malibu or something. I don't even know if they make them anymore. I don't really keep up with Chevy cars. I don't think Ford even makes cars anymore. Do they make the Ford Focus still? The Ford Focus is not necessarily a bad car, but yet again, no supercharger, no turbocharger. None of that extra nonsense, because then it interferes with things and can cause more problems later down the road. The more moving parts you have, the more things wear, the more money you spend on the vehicle. So that's why, save up the money that you can, as much as you can. Do not go to a car dealership. Do not go to a used car lot. Pull up Facebook Marketplace, pull up Craigslist, pull up whatever other buying offer up. Does anybody even use that anymore? It sucks in my area. I've actually deleted the app off of my phone. I liked it better when it was Let's Go before they bought it. But that's what you got to do. You're driving a little, they call them four bangers. It's just a little four-cylinder car, and it'll just keep going. Some of them, you do have to pay attention, though. That is one thing, is definitely do your research before buying the vehicle. Know what recalls it has. For instance, Toyota Camry I had that, yes, it made it to 350,000 miles. At the same time, they had a head gasket problem where it would burn a little bit of oil. So, you got to keep track of that. That's not the end of the world. If the previous owner kept track of it, and the engine's running fine, you don't hear any crazy noises, crazy hard knocking, you just put a little bit of oil in it every once in a while and keep running it. And that's what I did with that Camry forever. Has just had a, what was it, like 5W30 or something. I had a big old container of that I kept in my trunk, and maybe every 2 to 3 weeks I'd look at my oil, a little low, put a little bit more in. Sticky dash is also something that's not really a problem. It's just kind of annoying if you touch it. Some of the Toyota Camrys, some years they had you touch the dash and it's like a sticker residue. That is a recall notice as well. But know your recall notices. Definitely do your research before pulling the trigger. Having a friend that knows about cars is very useful to go with you. Body damage, paint chips, not the end of the world, depending on how much money you're willing to pay for the vehicle. As long as it's running and the frame isn't rotted out, you're good to go. That's ultimately how it is. It's running decent. It's got clean oil in it. It's the previous owner hopefully kept up with some maintenance on it as well. Runs and drives, no major things need to be replaced. Then you're good to go, and just drive it gently. I was going to say drive it like you steal it, but don't do that, because that puts more wear on the car. You want to get the most life out of it. When I buy a car, I buy a used vehicle, and I ideally would like to get 10 years out of that used vehicle. I live in a state where they salt the roads, so that does eventually kill the thing. A lot of the times the cars that I've already bought already have rust on them anyway, so I don't bother with the undercoating, because you're just sealing in the rust. You can't clean off the salt as well. But if you have a brand new car, maybe do the undercoating or something. Get under there with a paintbrush. Do as much of your own maintenance too as you can. Do the research, figure out how to do it. Tires are kind of a pain. You really should have a tire machine. Technically, you can do it with a crowbar, but you also risk bending the rim, which is going to cause problems. So you don't want to do that either. But, cheap police steel wheels, you can get them for like $50 a pop. Go to your local junkyard. They probably got 1 million of them, and they don't care. They might give them to you for free. I don't really know. But yeah, don't be afraid to go to your local junkyard and ask for parts, because you never know what they might have if you know how to fix stuff. You can change the oil yourself. I think most people can be capable of that. Honestly, this day and age, it doesn't save you much money. So most of the time, I just take it to my local shop and have them do it. But if you're really scrapping for cash, learn how to change your own fluids. You don't need a set of fancy wrenches. You can get a cheap set of wrenches from Harbor Freight, metric and standard, and pretty much you can take the entire car apart with those, minus you need like some sort of jack or something to get the engine out. We're not doing that though. We would like to avoid that, but that's where it is. There you have it. So how to buy a car when you're poor, how to buy a car when you're broke. You need something to drive and go to A to B. Those are my recommendations. If you have recommendations too, put them in the comments down below. Let me know like your favorite cheap car to buy for when you have no money and you just need something that'll keep running until the end of time, and the wheels are falling off, but the engine's still going. Something along those lines. Subscribe, notification bell, like, share, all of it helps. I think we're going to be doing either daily Saturday or Sunday videos. I'm thinking once a week for this channel. It is a new channel. This is only my third video, but I'm thinking about once a week. Maybe if I have time, I can start incorporating some images into the videos, but as of right now, it's going to be me talking. So, it's kind of like a podcast, 10-minute-ish podcast where you can hear me talk, do your taxes or something, listen to me in the background. Subscribe, have a good one.